Well, thank you, David. We've had a mini Grey Cup atmosphere all weekend in Moncton, New Brunswick, as it welcomes the second Scotiabank Touchdown Atlantic, the Calgary Stampeders and the Hamilton Tiger Cats on a Chamber of Commerce day here in Atlantic Canada. A sensational 23 degrees under powder blue sky.
You mentioned the atmosphere here. Great job, and thank you to Moncton and the entire province. Outstanding tailgating going on before the game. It'll be a packed house for the second year in a row. Touchdown Atlantic. Two teams that desperately need a win. John Hufnagel at 7-4, nice record, and 5-0 on the road, but coming off a loss to the BC Lions. And on the other sideline, Marcel Belfait at 5-6 on the year, and does not want to lose 3 straight. Has twice now in this season had 2-game losing streaks, does not want to lose 3 in a row here.
Two teams met at McMahon August the 6th, a 32-20 victory for Calgary, as we get a fly pass to kick things off here. And a little problem for LaMarcus Coker on the return, and the Stampeders downfield quickly to limit that return.
Well, interesting omission for the Calgary Stampeders offensively when you take a look at their starting lineup. Henry Burris, of course, leads the way at quarterback. But behind him in the tailback position is a familiar face in John Cornish, but not the starter. Joffrey Reynolds not in the lineup for the Stampeders, the Calgary Stampeder all-time leading running back. Nick Lewis very vocal this week about wanting to see the football more in that offense. And Steve Middleton from St. FX playing in front of a home crowd.
Lots to talk about with that Calgary offense this week, and the first pass is complete, and Kenyon Rambo gives them some breathing room. Taken out near the Hamilton sidelines across the 40-yard line. That's a 27-yarder to open the game.
Just 3 catches for Kenyon Rambo last week versus the BC Lions, and this is just him working in that zone defense and recognizing the inside pressure and breaking that route outside. A good start for Calgary.
Henry Burris threw for 341 yards in the first meeting of the season against Hamilton. First down up at the 41-yard line. Play action fake, and Cote's got a catch. Cote's 7th catch of the year. The first 6 came in the opening 2 weeks, but the fullback has a first down grab here.
Key to this game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats will be their defensive front 7, and specifically their defensive line, just underachieving over the last couple of games. Albert Smith is out, Luke Mullenter's in, but the key is Stevie Baggs, and if he can get pressure on the quarterback here this afternoon. Ray Williams had 10 tackles last week in a loss versus the Edmonton Eskimos, and there's going to be a complete shuffle in their secondary as they move Ryan Hines to safety and Bo Smith out to corner, with Marcel Young going in at halfback.
Stamps go to a double tight end, and for the first time today, John Cornish, his first start in the Canadian Football League at tailback, and look at him go! John Cornish inside the 20. Suchu set the defense, and there was a lot of concern about the tackling last week by Hamilton, and there will be after that rump of 22 yards for Cornish.
Yeah, and Chris, they're going to be surprised when they see the quarterback number 1. This is something that the secondary is not used to seeing, is that quarterback in Henry Burris getting outside and in front of, right in front of his running back. Watch Burris, he's just looking up whoever he can to make a block, and makes a nice one on Ryan Hines.
3 consecutive first down plays for the Stampeders. Burris looks to the right side. He's got a completion to Johnny Forzani inside the 15-yard line. Henry Burris led the Stampeders to an opening drive touchdown the first time these two teams met.
Sort of been win-loss for this Calgary football team, and it goes as Henry Burris goes. 2 weeks ago, over 300 yards against Edmonton and a nice win in the Labor Day rematch, and then last week was pulled after just 184 yards, but Henry Burris off to a great start here in Moncton. 3 for 3 to start this game.
2nd and 5. Pitch to the right side. John Cornish looking for that first down stick. Taken down by Jamal Johnson. And it should be another first down for Calgary.
You know, when you look at Joffrey Reynolds and the guy that's not in the lineup, John Cornish starting. I mean, familiar face in John Cornish, a guy that's platooned with Joffrey Reynolds, who is a healthy scratch. And a lot of speculation as to whether or not John Hufnagel is trying to send a bit of a message. He has said publicly, Coach Hufnagel, that it's partly to do with the fact that Larry Taylor is injured, and so on special teams they need help there with LaMarcus Coke. But
LaMarcus Coker is the backup tailback and return man today. First down into the end zone and out of the reach of Landon Talley. Back in the Calgary offense off the 9-game disabled list early. He suffered a shoulder injury in the first meeting against Hamilton.
You know, my gut feeling through reading between the lines with all of this, John Hufnagel is trying to send a message to his football team that it doesn't matter if you're the all-time leading running back, if you're not producing, and certainly the rushing numbers for Calgary have been down, that he will make a change. It doesn't mean that Joffrey Reynolds is done in Calgary by any stretch of the imagination.
Second and goal from the 9-yard line. Here comes pressure. Burris is a wide open man in the end zone. Robbie Bryant, touchdown. So the Stampeders march 95 yards on their opening drive and open the scoring in Scotiabank touchdown Atlantic.
And for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, this secondary is going to become a story in a hurry. They are shuffling the deck back there, and right now lots of room for these Calgary receivers. Look how wide open Robbie Bryant is. He breaks on that corner.
7-play drive. Bryant's second touchdown of the year. And the Stampeders are out early in Moncton.
With Joffrey Reynolds on the sideline, one of the questions is, could John Cornish block in the passing game as well as Joffrey Reynolds can? Well, you'll see on this touchdown throw from Henry Burris that John Cornish can block very well. He's got, on that side of your screen, Markeith Knowlton blocked up nicely, gives his quarterback a throwing lane. Robbie Bryant does his part, wide open for the first major.
So Bryant, 15 touchdowns last year, has only his second of the season. Great start for Henry Burris, 4 for 5 for 58 out of the gate. And now let's see how the Ticats respond. Running Paredes with a squib kick downfield, and it will be taken by the newcomer Terry Grant, who we expect to see in the Hamilton offense. Grant making his CFL debut in this one, and Kevin Glenn and the Tiger Cat offense will try and bounce back after a couple of tough weeks.
Yeah, just 140 yards passing for him. They got to get the running game going with Avon Coburn. Just 6 for 28 versus the Edmonton Eskimos in that loss a week ago. Chris Williams has been their playmaker, leading the team in all categories basically. And when you look up front, Mark DeWitt still in there at center for Marwan Hayes.
Starting lineups brought to you by Rona, proud partner of the CFL and its 8 teams. They start double tight end. From Glenn, who dumps it off underneath, and Avon Coburn has the catch, and a first down brought down by the middle linebacker, Jawan Simpson.
Avon Coburn's going to start in basically that tailback position behind Kevin Glenn, come out of the backfield and then run that crossing route, and it takes some time for this to develop and for Kevin Glenn to allow Avon Coburn to get outside leverage on Jawan Simpson.
It's a pickup of 14. They started the game with a double tight end formation without Dave Stalla. We were wondering, he was injured in the warm-up, seemed to jam his hand, was not in the huddle for the first play, but Dave Stalla now has checked in for duty, a key guy, obviously, for the Hamilton offense.
Well, he's the guy on second down that they lean on. You know, second and medium situations, 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8. They look for Dave Stalla. We'll take a look and see if that hand bothers him throughout this game.
Seemed to be in some distress as he left the field after the warm-up, but as you can see, part of this offense right now is they hook up once again with Avon Coburn, who is close to another first down up around the 50-yard line.
Let's take a look at that warm-up and exactly what happened to Dave Stala. It was just a normal warm-up, and then all of a sudden he jammed his hand. And he starts to sort of favor it, and it was in a lot of pain, and got the ice on it in those fourth and fifth digits.
So he jammed a finger, but is good to go. And Quentin Porter is into the game in the short yardage situation, and he'll just plunge ahead following Mark DeWitt, who again is in at center, and Simeon Rotier, the right guard for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, what's remarkable about the Calgary defense, Chris, in my book, is that they rank second against the run, even though they've made so many changes in their front seven. They do get Charleston Hughes back into the starting lineup. Jawan Simpson's back for a couple of games now, so that should help. Still ranked second against the run, giving up less than 90 yards per game. And then there's their secondary that remains intact. Maybe their best player, Keon Raymond, playing in at halfback.
Kevin Glenn back in, first down Hamilton. And the pass in the flat, and they're working Avon Coburn early, third catch of this opening drive for Coburn.
You know, talking to the Hamilton Tiger Cats, got a chance to meet quickly with Kevin Glenn before the game today, and he was talking about having to come from behind and how it takes Avon Coburn possibly out of the mix more, and that's something they do not want to do. They'll try to get the ball to Marcus Sigpen, and don't be surprised if we see a little Terry Grant in here too. But bottom line being that Marcel Belfait knows how much more pressure his team is under when they always have to come from behind.
Just 58 yards on second down last week. Here's second and 4, and that pass is incomplete as they try to hook up with the outstanding rookie Chris Williams. Brandon Smith in coverage.
Chris Williams, 300-yard games for him. Not surprised at all that Kevin Glenn will try and get the football to him, but he is blanket covered by Brandon Smith.
Medlock, the left footer, kicks it downfield. And here's Landon Talley. And he'll be wrapped up and dropped inside the 10. The cover team fired up, led by Jonathan Hood. We're back at Moncton Stadium. We're on the sidelines is Sarah Orleski.
Chris, this is the second year for the Touchdown Atlantic game after a successful event last year in Moncton, the inaugural one. Now, this is an event that has brought in fans from across the CFL. We've seen fans from BC, from Regina. Everybody's come in for this one because it really is an event. They figured that last year it brought in over $6.5 million to the Moncton area, and they estimate around 6,000 visitors. Now, this is an event that's put on by a committee of about 30 people and then over 200 volunteers, and everyone that we've spoken to so far that was here last year as well says that this event this year is even bigger and better than the one before.
Absolutely. Our hats off to the organizers who have done a terrific job. Nice catch by Rambo, who stretches out. Now they're saying no, he did not secure the football, but they closed off Main Street. It was going off all weekend, and it was bigger and better this year. Last year, a little rain was an issue at for the festival downtown.
And a couple of the players that are playing certainly home games for them. Steve Middleton played his college ball at St. FX, is actually the male athlete of the year in 2008. So he's got a great home crowd cheering for him. And there are a few players in this game that play college ball out in this parts.
Second and 10. Stamps inside their 10 and over the middle. Nick Lewis bobbled the ball, and you don't see that much. Nick, who was outspoken after the last game because they did not go to him in the second half of last week's loss, with a rare drop here.
Well, as an athlete, this is what you dread, is that you've done that talking, and you've heard it many times that if you're going to talk, you better be able to walk the walk. And Nick Lewis, after spending the whole week explaining to the media that he needed to see the ball more, he had a meeting with John Hufnagel. He explained to him that probably wasn't his best decision. He had to talk to his team about it, and drops the first one his direction.
Brooke Dales from out of his end zone. Marcus Thigpen takes this at the Calgary 54, and he'll be down just inside the 50. Great field position for Kevin Glenn when we come back. International Day in Atlantic, Canada. Happy to be at Moncton Stadium for Touchdown Atlantic. Robbie Bryant has a major score for Calgary. And now the Ticats take over at the Stampeder 49, trying to cut into that Calgary lead. There's Avon Coburn's first carry of the game, and he's got some room off the right side and should have a first down. Coburn third in the league in rushing coming in.
But of late has just been sort of a forgotten man in the offense. When you look at his last 2 games, just 11 carries for Avon Coburn, 30 yards and a 2.7-yard average. Just not getting the production necessary to get that balance in the offense that Kevin Glenn desperately needs. But it looks like they're committed to it early on in this game.
Well, they marked him out just on this side of the 40-yard line, so it's going to be second and short. Coburn again. There's the first down. Dropped at the 35.
And one thing he's been successful with is when he gets down to the goal line, Avon Coburn's been able to find it.
You mentioned that we're expecting to see Terry Grant today, but we've seen more of Coburn already than usual. Wonder if the message has been delivered by Marcel Belfay with the presence of Grant on the sidelines today. Coburn looking very sharp in the early going. This time they fake it to Coburn and into the flat. Marcus Thigpen is open. Thigpen down around the 15-yard line as he's a starting slot back today as they try to inject a little bit more speed in the Hamilton lineup.
Going to move Marcus Thigpen around in the formation. This time he's going to play wide receiver and just do what's called a bang route. He goes into the middle and then bangs back outside. He gets a little bit of a block from your outstanding rookie nominee for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And yes, I'm making that announcement early. As Chris Williams gets a little block from Marcus Thigpen.
Going out on a limb, are you? Quarterback draw. We don't see this much from Kevin Glenn. And he's wrapped up and taken down by the rookie Junior Turner out of Bishops. Kevin Glenn 11th in rushing among quarterbacks in the league, so he doesn't take off much.
No, but it's an important part of his offense. Even though it may be 1 or 2 times a game, Kevin Glenn will take off and run, and it'll just plant that seed in the defensive line's mind that don't leave the lanes completely wide open or I will take it. Kahari Jones calling a nice series here. That out to Marcus Thigpen, get him in space, get Kevin Glenn on the move, rolling out and running up the middle.
Just the 14th carry of the year for Kevin Glenn. It's a 7-yard pickup and 2nd and 3. And Coburn will try the right side, and Avon Coburn will have another Hamilton first down.
You know, just because Kevin Glenn is a pocket passer, he can move, he can throw on the run, he does it quite well, and Kahari Jones has to keep that in mind. In one of the plays in this series, that throw to Marcus Thigpen, he did get him out around the edge, and it really will widen the defensive line splits, make it a little bit easier running inside for Avon Coburn, but you got to be patient with it. Mix it up. So far in this series, it's a nice job by Kahari Jones.
Measurement indicates it will be a 1st and goal from just outside the 5. Marcel Belfay talked about needing more explosive plays in this Hamilton offense, and we haven't really seen the explosive. We've just seen a good, consistent attack so far in this first quarter.
Yeah, and I like this series in particular. Great balance. Avon Coburn looks like he's running with a good jump in his step. Movement from the quarterback position, getting the ball to all the weapons. The only guys we really haven't talked about much is Chris Williams just yet.
Stallup out of the backfield in motion. Kevin Glenn, quick hitter off the outstretched hands of Matt Carter with the flag. Flying late. Carter, the product of Acadia.
Pass interference. Calgary number 25. The infraction took place in goal. Be first down on the 1-yard line.
Keon Raymond draws the flag.
Wide out position. There's Matt Carter. He's going to run that quick slant. The key for him is to try and get inside leverage. Keon Raymond, I thought it was Brandon Isaac, cut inside. Looked like he turned him a little bit. It was Brandon Isaac, 24.
Wow. So it's first and goal at the 1. Quentin Porter trying to break the plane. And has he? No signal yet. Second and goal.
Good jump there by safety Demetrius Morley. He was borderline offside, and do you see the ball cross the plane? Tough to see through Justin Phillips.
Looked like that surge was going to get him there, and then he hit a brick wall, so it will be second and goal. This time Coburn, he's in, touchdown, flags fly.
Brandon Smith is indicating that it's against Hamilton.
Offside. Calgary number 31. A penalty is declined. Touchdown.
As he would.
Demetrius Morley, and so Coburn into the end zone, his 8th touchdown of the year.
Demetrius Morley was offside on the last one, or borderline offside, and this time clearly he was. It doesn't matter because Avon Coburn got in. You see Morley is the guy who trips him up. He did cross the plane, and we're all tied after this convert.
Nine-play drive for Hamilton, 48 yards. And Avon Coburn has been busy in this first quarter. Medlock with the flag down adds the extra point. We'll sort it out when we come back. Tied at 7 here in the first quarter. Let's get back down to the sidelines. Here again, Sarah Orleski.
And Chris, I'm joined now by the president of the CIS, Leo McPherson. Leo, this is the first year coming up that we've seen the Vanier Cup and the Grey Cup fully integrated together. What does that mean to the CIS to be attached to the Grey Cup?
Well, I tell you, all of us in the CIS are very excited about this partnership we have with the CFL. It allows us to showcase our CIS championship, the Vanier Cup, alongside a Canadian institution being the Grey Cup. So we're very excited. It's going to enhance our student-athlete experience and elevate our brand.
Student-athletes, speaking of them, there's a number of former student-athletes that are playing in this game today. It must be so nice to see such a heavy CIS involvement.
Well, yeah, I mean, most people know, but there's a lot of CIS football alumni that take part in the CFL, and in this game alone, there are 40 CIS football alumni on these two rosters, so that's pretty impressive.
Thanks so much for this. Enjoy the game.
My pleasure.
There's an offside on the convert against Calgary, so the Ticats will be kicking off from the 40, but the ball falls off the tee.
I love the idea of the Vanier Cup and the Grey Cup in the same week in Vancouver. It'll be a week-long football festival, football celebration. I think it's a great idea. All the media is in the same place, in the same city. And we celebrate not only grassroots football, college football in our country, but professional football as well.
Medlock launches it. Here's LaMarcus Coder. He's got great speed. And showing you there, up across the 45, a late flag. Coker with 4.36 40 speed coming out of college. Talk about the college athletes.
On the return, holding. Calgary number 24, 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's against Brandon Isaac on that kick return for the Stampeders. Akwesi Antwi, who was here at the game last year as a spectator, a member of the Mount Allison Mounties, and I know many of his teammates from last year that are still with Mount Allison are here cheering him on today.
11 special teams tackles for him. He's getting down on those cover teams.
He's been a big, pleasant surprise for the Stampeders. Henry Burris throwing the other, but this time, sure hands. Nick Lewis atoning for an earlier drop with some sticky hands there.
Well, if Calgary fans haven't heard yet, that's what his 600th career catch for Nick Lewis. Dropped the first one a series ago. The first throw in his direction, but makes a pretty fancy one right there to go down and pick it up with one hand.
It was kind of a casual, spectacular catch, wasn't it?
Another day at the office, Big Nick.
Just to let you know that that first drop wasn't going to bother him. Coker's in at running back now, and there's a little confusion, and Stevie Baggs wraps up Henry Burris and puts the Calgary quarterback in the sack.
Mentioned earlier, this is the key to the success for the Hamilton Tiger Cats on defense. They can get a little bit more production out of their defensive line, and that time Stevie Baggs was in the backfield so quickly unblocked that he could basically take both the running back and the quarterback on the play, and he ended up corralling Henry Burris.
5th sack of the year for Baggs, just his 3rd in the last 10 games. A lot of discussion of how he's been deployed. Over the middle. Is it caught? It is. Kenyon Rembo in traffic. Lost the helmet, but not the football. A spectacular catch on the final play of the opening quarter by Rembo. Tied at 7 after 15 minutes of good football in touchdown Atlantic here in Moncton. We'd like to welcome the commissioner, Mark Cohan, who you have to like what you've seen not just today, but all weekend here.
It's been an amazing weekend. The festival's been unbelievable. The city has really gotten behind this, and you see, full stands and a great game so far.
Mark, every time that we do this now, the conversation about expansion into the Maritimes comes up. Where are we in that respect?
I think this is still just a test, but the test that they're passing, but it takes time. One game doesn't make a season. 2013, the Tiger Cats are going to be out of their stadium. Can we do some more games here? That's something we'll evaluate.
Are we back next year?
We're looking at it. Last year we announced it in February, March. I'm going to be sitting down with the Premier and the Mayor after that, and we'll give it a shot.
The other question I have for you when it comes to expansion into this region, is Halifax part of that conversation?
Well, it's interesting because, they're looking at getting a new stadium as well, so that will probably creep into it as well.
Here's the hit screen to Robbie Bryant. Taken down quickly by Bo Smith, manning the corner in this game for the Tiger Cats.
And while we have you, let's get an update on the situation in Ottawa, speaking of new teams being added.
Well, they're making great progress there. They've jumped through all the hurdles, our ownership group, and if they can break ground by spring of next year, and the redevelopment of Lansdowne is a $400 million project, we should have the team ready for 2014.
No, you're excited about next week as we reopen BC Place Stadium.
Heading out there on Friday, looking forward to it.
2nd and 7 for the Stamps. And over the middle, another 2nd down conversion for Calgary as Nick Lewis with the catch.
Nick Lewis, we're going to have to watch in the second half. That's where he was concerned about his lack of involvement in the offense, was when they got to the second half, but he's made a couple of catches here in this first half. So what is the issue then, Mark? Is there any issues in the Canadian Football League anymore? I mean, this is good times.
No, it's good times for the league. Obviously, we can't get complacent. We got to continue to build, and we look at new opportunities. But I think it's a good time to be involved in the CFL.
Pressure on Henry Burris again, and they get to the quarterback, Justin Hickman, off the edge.
Good sign for Ticat fans. They're getting that pressure they needed, and it looks like to me Stevie Baggs is all of a sudden stepping up and elevating his game. When you look at the lack of production the last couple of games, he's going to get some help inside from Justin Hickman, and together pressure on the quarterback from the front four without Hamilton having to send the blitz. They're allowed to leave as many people as they possibly can back in coverage, and Hickman and Stevie Baggs get home.
8th sack of the season for Hickman. That's a new personal best. Second and extra. Downfield. Touchdown. No. Yes. Robbie Bryant. The Ticats will want a review of this. Did he survive contact? Henry Burris is celebrating Robbie Bryant's apparent second touchdown of this game.
Well, I won't put you on the spot, Mark, but we get a chance to look at and review something that has become a real successful component of professional football, not just in Canada, but the replay and the ability to go back and take a look in controversial plays like this. It looks like he has possession when he crosses the plane. Marcel Belfay has thrown his challenge flag. But this has been a real successful addition a couple of years back when we added replay and a chance to take a look.
Absolutely. The command center, you know, putting it in Toronto, having our officials there look at it, you know, even think about the fans. The fans are watching now. They're all in their man caves and their high definition TVs, and we didn't get a good look when we had the booth on the field, and now we have a much better capability working with TSN on it.
Hamilton is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass for a touchdown. We'll review the play.
So as the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, can you go out and say what you think?
No, I'm not. I'm going to let Tom Higgins and the boys do their job.
You're right.
That's one sign of a leader. Let the people who are the experts do their job.
Well, let's take another look, because part of my job is to try and speculate and see what exactly this looks like. And it looked like to me that he has control of the football when he crossed the plane of the goal line, and it came out after he had turned and rolled on the ground. Looks to me like this should be ruled a touchdown catch. Crosses the plane, goes down, comes out after he had turned a couple of times. But again, it's up to head office and the replay booth.
We have had a few contentious plays like this over the last couple of years. More in focus because is it a touchdown or not?
The ruling on the field stands. It is a touchdown.
Right call. Robbie Bryant has his second touchdown of the game.
The command center works. There we go, guys.
There you go. The command center came to, yeah, and it was the right call. I mean, he had possession of the football, a second touchdown, and I know that Calgary fans have been wondering when Robbie Bryant will break out. It looks like maybe it's that maritime, maybe it's some lobsters.
Yep, the lobsters bringing out the best in a lot of people.
I think so.
Extra point is good. Our thanks to the commissioner, Mark Cohan, as Calgary takes a touchdown lead here.
Thanks, guys.
In the second quarter.
Quiznos, official sub-sponsor of the NFL.
CFL on TSN. Wendy's Friday night football action continues next week with a huge football doubleheader. First up, the Owls travel to Winnipeg to take on the Bombers. First place matchup, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. And then the Eskimos and the Lions as they open up BC Place Stadium. And if Hamilton was to win today, the BC Lions have a chance to get a share of first place next week in the West.
After
who would have thought?
After a very difficult start for them, right back in the race.
There's Chris Williams, who had a 93-yard return last week, and he'll get dropped just across the 30-yard line here.
Hamilton Tiger Cats had scored, and the Calgary Stampeders needed to find an answer. They went to the aerial attack. Nick Lewis started the drive with his 600th career catch in a one-hander. Big catch in traffic for Kenyon Rambo. And then here is your touchdown. It went to review, and Robbie Bryant has his second.
So the Tiger Cats will try to respond starting at their 34. And the pass went out to the speedy Chris Williams, but he can't get the corner. Greg Fassett's there.
Number 3 in the CFL in yards after the catch is this rookie in Chris Williams. 300-yard games, as I mentioned. He's 3rd in the CFL in yards per game at 81. There's a lot of veteran quality receivers behind him in the stat sheets.
3rd in yards after the catch at 361. 5 yards on that gain, so it's 2nd and 5. Glenn has some time looking downfield. Once Williams again, unable to hook up with him. Brandon Smith was defending on the play. So that's a matchup we'll watch all day, as the veteran Brandon Smith always draws the tough assignment. He's got the speedy rookie Chris Williams here today.
Well, that's back-to-back that Kevin Glenn was trying to get the football. It looked like they were determined to get it into Chris Williams' hands in that series. But well covered down the field, and they're going to have to kick the ball away.
High short kick and a good bounce for Medlock that rolls out at about the 30-yard line, where Calgary will have the ball when we come back. Only game this year in the CFL on natural turf. With more, here again is Sarah.
Well, Chris, with this game being played on grass, that means that footwear can become an issue, and so both teams packed several pairs of cleats and then also different length of studs in case they needed to wear them. The concern really being whether or not it was going to rain today and how that would affect the field. They say it's very hard, though, because of the sun. When I talked to some of the Ticats, they said about half of the guys are wearing the 7 studs. Those are usually the linemen. The positional players, about half of them, they're wearing their regular shoes. So far, it hasn't been an issue.
John Cornish was one of the players who said he hoped it would rain to soften up the field. A carry by Cornish there that draws a late flag, and Cornish came up pleading for either a face mask or a horse collar. Let's see what the call is.
Holding. Calgary, number 62. 10-yard penalty remains, first down.
Well, John Cornish didn't get the call he wanted.
You know, just to kind of elaborate a little bit on that field condition story. I mean, the field itself, I walked down before the game. I thought it was in pretty good shape. I mean, you look at it, the organizing committee has done a real nice job. The end zones are a little different. But the field, it's just a matter for the players of deciding which suits them best depending on their position, as Sarah mentioned. But it is in great condition, and guys, football players love to play on natural grass if they can.
Here's Cornish again on 1st and 20, and he works his way across the 25-yard line.
Although that new synthetic turf is getting closer and closer to natural grass every day, so it's not that far off anymore. But you love to get out there on the natural grass, and after Commonwealth converted, there hasn't been a stadium in the CFL with natural grass, so it gives a chance for the Stampeders and Ticats to get out there and get their own grass shoes, 7 studs, as Sarah mentioned.
Henry Burris converted a 2nd and long for the last Calgary touchdown. Looking at 2nd and 13 here. Here comes the rush. He's going deep. Johnny Forzani off his fingertips as Calgary gets another receiver in behind the Hamilton secondary. This time, Carlos Thomas.
Yeah, I've been watching Carlos Thomas a little bit in this game, and he struggled a little bit a couple of times now. He's been beaten, and times that, in fact, Henry Burris has gone in a different direction. This secondary has not had an interception in 7 games and counting, and they're going to need to try and tighten up a little bit. So you see Johnny Forzani, if he just reacts a little bit with his body and gets a little bit wider as he's running that go route, that one drops right in his hands.
Burke Dales sends Thigpen back to his 35. There's Marcus Thigpen getting bumped out across the 40 with the flag on the play. We'll be back to Touchdown Atlantic after this. Cup.
Couple sacks for the Hamilton Tiger Cats here in this game this afternoon. Justin Hickman with 1, Stevie Baggs with 1. So Hamilton on the board and trying to close the gap. Good race going on there between Winnipeg and BC, who were temporarily in the lead after their game against Saskatchewan. Congratulations to the Lions. Big win. Mosaic. And Winnipeg had a few to pass them again.
Roughing penalty against Terry Grant. Pushed the Tiger Cats start back, and there's Avon Coburn with a 9-yard pickup on another successful touch for him in the game. 5 runs for 27 on the ground for Avon Coburn.
Which is a good start for Avon Coburn in this offense, and we talked about that balance, and he'll go one-on-one with Juwan Simpson a bunch, who was the guy who ended up making the tackle, but not till Coburn got 9 yards on that play.
And 3 catches for 29 yards, so 56 for Coburn in the game so far from scrimmage. Second and short, and they lead Glenn in and out of the shotgun. Coburn will push ahead and has the first down.
One of the matchups I love to watch, the game inside of the game, when it comes to the starting tailback, especially a prominent running back like Coburn against the middle linebacker, because if everyone does their job up front offensively, and that O-line can get big on big, a big body on a big D lineman's body, then it should come down to that matchup between that running back in the space in the hole and the middle linebacker filling that hole.
First down up the 40. Coburn will hand it off. Flea flicker, Kevin Glenn. Wide open, Marcus Thigpen. Thigpen inside the 15, and the Ticats get an explosive play in gadget fashion.
Yeah, they put a little show on for the fans of Atlantic Canada. Here in Moncton, a little trick play. Getting that run game established to Avon Coburn is going to draw the defense. It's even going to pull up the defensive secondary and get them to come and help on run support. Little toss there to Chris Williams, and it looked like Williams was caught in the backfield by Brandon Isaac, but he had given the ball back to Kevin Glenn, who actually underthrew Marcus Thigpen a little bit, but big play nonetheless.
One of the highlights of the night, to be sure. It's a 66-yarder. Quentin Porter comes in. Avon Coburn crashing down inside the 2. Juwan Simpson brings him down, and there is a flag in the end zone. I'm not sure whether it's for what Coburn was looking for.
The last play covered 70 yards.
It's an area where Hamilton has excelled this year in the red zone, #1 by a large margin.
Major foul, face mask. Calgary number 44, half the distance to the goal from the end of the play, automatic first down.
Well, it is the face mask against Justin Phillips, the Laurier product.
It had to have something to do with the fact that Avon Coburn's helmet did not end up on his head at the end of this play. You see 44 ripped it off, and he was the first to let the officials know.
So it's first and goal from the 1, and Porter will punch it in. Touchdown, Ticats.
Boy, this Hamilton team is a different team when the run game is working. It just opens up so many things for Kevin Glenn. And that trick play was one that we'll see a few times tonight on Sports Center.
And they convert inside the red zone for the 26th time in 30 attempts. That's about 87%, 30% better than any other team in the league.
Their only issue there, Chris, was that they didn't get in the red zone enough.
Yeah.
I mean, they were ranked 6th getting down there, but once Marcel Belfay's crew was in the red zone, very proficient.
Medlock will tie it up, and touchdown Atlantic. A lot more interesting than a year ago when we watched Edmonton and Toronto, and the Eskimos won it 24-6.
Yeah, both teams coming off a loss, want to get back in the win column, and this is the key play of the drive. Let's take a look one more time at little razzle dazzle and how much the defense is influenced by Avon Coburn going with the ball in his hands for 3 or 4 steps to the right. And as I mentioned, I think Kevin Glenn underthrew that just a little bit, but Marcus Thigpen took off and got it right to the goal line anyway.
It's a lot of weapons touching the football, isn't it? Coburn, Williams, Glenn, and the speedy Marcus Thigpen. It's a 5-play, 83-yard drive, and last week there were no big plays for the Ticats. That's the biggest play of the day so far.
Now, they're fun to watch, but for players,
all day, every day.
For players, they're fun to practice too. I mean, you could spend all year practicing those plays, and sometimes you don't ever get a chance to use them. And so when you do, when they work, it's a lot of fun for the players. And we got a ball game.
Ticats watching their Southern Ontario rivals upsetting Winnipeg last night to get a little closer, but also to provide an opportunity for Hamilton to tighten things up at the top of the Eastern Division race that they're trying to bust out of a 2-game losing streak. While Calgary, with that opportunity to take over first in the West after Edmonton lost Friday night against Montreal. Coker on the return, and he'll be stopped short of the 30-yard line.
Last week, there were 34 yards and losses for Henry Burris' offense. They gave up 3 sacks. They had 4 total turnovers. It's a different story this afternoon. He's been on fire, and his receivers are making plays for him.
And he's embraced this whole Atlantic Canada thing. He had a game plan coming in. He had about 10 restaurants, and apparently they hit almost every one of the A restaurants in the area. There are some good seafood spots here.
I was following, as many people do, Henry Burris on Twitter and saw a picture of one of his lobster dinners, as a matter of fact.
Yep, the quarterback was calling the right signals, but he's in trouble here, and that ball's loose on the carpet. Who's got it? And the Ticats say they've got it. It is Hamilton football. Now, will we get a challenge here as Winnipeg native Eddie Steele comes up with a pigskin?
Let's take a look if there was any throwing motion from Henry Burris. He pulls it back from there. That's not when he fumbled. So now he's got control. The ball comes up and out of his hands at the top of what it looked like was a forward throwing motion, but I'm not sure the ball didn't come out before he started moving the arm forward.
Still haven't seen a challenge flag. It looked like he wanted to dump it off to John Cornish, but that football just slipped out of his hands.
I don't think that's one they're not even going to try and review.
Big takeaway by the Cats. Kevin Glenn looking downfield, and the Strider 2 out of the reach of Marcus Thigpen with Greg Fassett in coverage.
See Kevin Glenn with a big smile on his face there because he knows one thing. Marcus Thigpen had the play. I mean, that was a touchdown play. If a guy who's not played a lot of slot back runs like a slot back. He hesitated there going down the seam. He's a tailback that's moved out to that position, so you're going to go through some of these highs and lows, but he runs that as a straight seam like a slot back would. That's a touchdown.
Matt Carter checks in for fullback Darcy Brown. 2nd and 10, flag down, pressure on, and Kevin Glenn is brought down. That's the safety, Demetrius Morley, along with Malik Jackson. And it looked like the penalty was going to be offside against the Tiger Cats.
Procedure. Hamilton, illegal formation, no end. That penalty is declined. It will be 3rd down.
So the field goal unit will come on for Hamilton.
Looked to me like Kevin Glenn had time initially to get this ball out of there. He looked to his left. That's where the 4 receiver side was, including Dave Stahl out of the backfield, but the pocket collapsed on him quickly. Demetrius Morley getting there.
So Medlock from 34 yards out. He's got it. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats have their first lead of the day. Ticats with the fewest takeaways on defense get 3 from the fumble recovery and have the lead, and Calgary will opt to scrimmage the football at the 35. Well, pack your bags for the wildest adventure on earth. A new season of The Amazing Race begins tonight, 8 o'clock, 7 Central on CTV. Don't know if they've hit Atlantic Canada, but it is fun to come here each year. John Huffnagel's team also went to Prince Edward Island for their walkthrough yesterday in Charlottetown to take suck in even more of this great part of the country. Close with a catch, and he's brought down quickly by defensive halfback Carlos Thomas.
You mentioned that shakeup at the start of the game with their secondary, and so far they've now started to settle in. The first couple of series for the Calgary Stampeders, it was pitch and catch for Henry Burris. Looked like practice almost for the Stamps offense, and this secondary is now starting to provide a little resistance, push back a little bit.
2nd and 8 here. Out of his reach again, Thomas in coverage, and it's a 2-and-out for the Stampeders, who have had 2 long scoring drives in the game. But you're right, that defense starting to settle in after giving up a 95 and a 76-yard touchdown drive by the Stamps.
There's this particular kind of package that Corey Chamblin wants to run defensively, and it's just a matter of whether or not they have the personnel here in Hamilton to do that, and they're trying to figure that out as this game and this season evolves.
Chris Williams is back, and Burke Dales, short kick, flags down, and Williams a little slow to pick that up, and he gets buried back inside the 25. Well, let's sort out the flag that part of that battle downfield. Turned out to be with the bounce a 49-yard punt, and it's going to be even better for Calgary.
On the return, holding. Hamilton, number 0, 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's St. Mary's product Darcy Brown that gets called on the hold, and so Hamilton all the way back to their 15-yard line.
We're watching the matchup between Brandon Smith and Chris Williams, and so far you have to give the nod to Brandon Smith. He's been tracking Chris Williams all over the field, and been a pretty quiet afternoon so far for number 80.
1 catch, 5 yards for Chris Williams. Coburn's had a good first half out across the 20 and a pickup of 6.
Game inside the game. Avon Coburn against middle linebacker Juwan Simpson. Big on big up front. Big bodies taking out the big bodies. A scrape by Juwan Simpson. He fights off the cut block from the offensive line and then comes up and makes a tackle. Coburn's got decent yards on first down, but there's that matchup. I love watching that one. Middle linebacker and tailback.
Ticats had 39 yards rushing last week against Edmonton. Coburn has 39 here in the opening half. And that pass almost intercepted. In and out of the hands of a Calgary DB. Jeff Tisdale. Just under 3 minutes to go here in the first half, and here again is Sarah Orleski.
And Chris, when it comes to the Calgary Stampeders, there was no bigger story this week than the one that revolved around Joffrey Reynolds and the would he or would he not play. He is, as you've mentioned, a healthy scratch. I asked Hamilton Ticats defensive coordinator Corey Chamblin about how that changed their strategy. He says it's very different preparing for John Cornish than it is Reynolds. With Reynolds, you know that he's going to try to grind it up the middle. With Cornish, there's always the possibility of going on the outside. John Cornish had 3 carries for 34 yards so far.
You saw Landon Talley on that kick return. Looked like Jamal Johnson got his hands on the grill and flags fly.
That's a good point. I mean, John Cornish has got that great breakaway speed to the outside. He can get the edge. He can make that big play, that big run. So for the Hamilton
foul, face mask. Hamilton, 15 yards to the end of the play, first down.
And then, you know, you got Joffrey Reynolds, who's going to power it in between the tackles and is so good and gets that low center of gravity as a hard running back in the interior. There's your difference. We'll just show you the face mask penalty, but defensively now, how you change is that you have to have your linebackers and secondary from the outside in protecting the perimeter against John Cornish so much more than they might against Joffrey Reynolds.
Jamal Johnson, the guilty party, a first down near midfield, and that pass incomplete, intended for Kenyon Rambo.
John Cornish was talking today about how, they'll miss their leader. I mean, this is something that a starter and an all-time player like Joffrey Reynolds is a healthy scratch. It really is a trickle-down effect through the whole roster. And great pass protection from Cornish. I mean, he's doing his thing. I mean, we've seen him do that throughout the last couple of years. They don't drop off a lot because he's got so much experience.
He can be a gregarious guy, but all reports very quiet, respectful this week, knowing what it meant to take the spot of a future Hall of Famer in this game. Cornish brought down there on a pickup that will be short of the first down.
Well, and it took Jamal Johnson there, Chris, everything he had to get Cornish down. He sniffed out that screen really well, hustled to it quickly, and he got there as the ball was arriving for John Cornish. He's going to let the defensive end go just to the left of your screen. You'll lose him and get him in a second. Here they are, but watch him carry him for a couple of steps.
And that's been another storyline in Hamilton. They've got the highly touted linebackers who have not been performing up to their all-star capabilities. And somehow did he stay on his feet? Marcus Thigpen, he got away. And Burke Dales bumps him out. There is a flag. And let's see how he stayed upright there to turn that into a big gain.
Yeah, I thought initially he did. I mean, we're a little bit of ways at our spot here in the spotters booth, but I think this will be coming back anyway. This penalty flag against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, I believe. I don't think his knee touched.
Would have been a 38-yard return, but it is coming back.
On the return, illegal block. Hamilton, number 3, half the distance to the goal, first down.
That's the Ticat special team demon, Mark Beswick, who drew the flag. Another St. Mary's product.
Pretty nice job, though, by Marcus Thigpen to fight off that tackle there, keep his balance. That right knee did not touch. He put the hand down. That's why if you're a young amateur football player watching this game, that's why you do that drill. If you're a running back or a receiver, you do that balance drill where you switch hands with the ball, put the hand down for cases just like that.
But the Beswick penalty wiped it out, and Hamilton starts at their 9. And they'll swing it out. And away goes Terry Grant. And as he bounced off it. Wow. Terry Grant with his first ever touch from scrimmage in the CFL, and the Alabama product shows you some toughness, doesn't he?
Wow, he did. He gets outside, and I just, that first hit, I thought the training staff started to get up off the bench there and go and see him. And he just bounced off like, what? No problem. Good hit, but I'm still going. It's a nice looking run.
5 carries, 85 yards in a preseason game against Montreal, but this is first CFL start. A guy who had 113 touchdowns in high school football. That'd get you some recruiting attention, wouldn't it? Pressure from Malik Jackson. Passes away, and Terry Grant's got another.
Look at this.
And apparently, he's not going to be tackled easily in his first CFL game.
Saw him warming up, and when he was in warm-up, I saw him talking to Kevin Glenn. I started to get the feeling that maybe he would be involved now. It's moving close to the end of the first half here, but looks like a pretty exciting football player to watch.
Brandon Isaac and Demetrius Morley have to double team him to bring him down. And so the Ticats have dug themselves out of a hole.
4 years at Alabama with Nick Saban, and he looks like he's a keeper.
Second and short yardage. And we'll see him run inside and get a first down. Up at the 35. Well, we're getting close to live at the half. We'll check in with the guys back in studio. They'll weigh in on this decision to see John Cornish.
And you and I get to go and get some lobster. I'm sure they have lobster up here at halftime, don't they?
I hope they do, but I bet it doesn't beat. Sarah Oleski was bragging about her lobster omelet for breakfast this morning.
Lobster omelet.
I didn't hear a report on that in this first half, but she gave it great reviews. little adventure there on that shotgun snap, but it is ducked off. Avon Coburn across the 40 to the 42.
Good football game and important for both of these teams. I mean, not only to snap their losing streaks for Calgary, just the one game, but it's been win-loss for Calgary. They want to get out of that routine. And for Marcel Belfoy, a couple in a row, Edmonton and Montreal. So important game for both these teams. If Hamilton should find a way to win this game, interesting Western Division matchup next week, BC and Edmonton.
2nd and 3 as the Ticats try and keep this alive late in the first half, but that pass is out of the reach of Maurice Mann, and it will bring up 3rd down.
The key for Kevin Glenn throughout this second half, he looks like he's limping a little bit, but is to be careful not to try and lock into Chris Williams, who's been pretty well covered for this first half in that matchup with Brandon Smith, and he's going to have to try and use his other weapons and go to them more often. Easier said than done when you got a playmaker that's been doing so well.
Another good kick by Medlock, and Talley back inside his 15, and he lost the football on the carpet. And did Brandon Isaac get it back for Calgary? He was in the neighborhood. Ticats say they've got it. They do. Second fumble recovery by Hamilton in Calgary territory.
Bo Smith came up with it, and if he got it on the bottom of that pile. I thought Brandon Isaac had the best chance at it. Let's see, the ball comes out. Jason Shivers with the tackle. And there's the shot that Brandon Isaac had, but you can see Bo Smith hustles in there, fights for that football, and just gets that, wins the battle at the bottom of the pile.
Ticats were just hungrier there, weren't they? 2 takeaways in this first half, and now with 20.7 seconds on the clock.
Let's go, Deuce.
What's up, Moncton? Yeah. Ticat football, baby.
Well, the Ticats have a big opportunity here. We told you they're 87% in the score zone, and here they are with a 1st and goal at the 8. Baranachea and Darcy Brown in at tight end, and
Timeout, Calgary.
And Calgary will call timeout.
Well, you want to use yours in the first half anyway, and John Hufnagel, once Kevin Glenn broke the huddle there, he got a chance to take a look at the personnel grouping. He allowed his defense and Chris Jones to take a look at the formation that Kevin Glenn was going to throw at them. Now we'll see if Glenn goes in there and changes the play, and I don't think they've changed anything personnel-wise, so Calgary defense has just a little bit better understanding of what they're going to face here on this play. I'm just wondering with Chris Williams if Kevin Glenn gets locked in. He's coming out to this short side.
Ticats lead the CFL in rushing touchdowns. A couple here today have 15 on the year. Williams in motion. They fake the sweep to Williams. Glenn looks in the end zone all the time. Incomplete. Looked for a flag, but none forthcoming. Marcus Thigpen, the intended target.
It looked like Greg Fassett was the guy who kind of ran into Marcus Thigpen as he tried to get back. Because first of all, it's going to be motion coming this way from Chris Williams. A little play action there to draw the defense, give Kevin Glenn some time. Just to the left of your screen, Glenn was trying to direct traffic, but that ball way beyond before the contact made.
Looked like he wanted Terry Grant out of the backfield, but Junior Turner knocked him off stride. 2nd and goal. Here comes pressure into the corner, and it's a touchdown. Marcus Thigpen. Well, he did play slot in corner in college, and he shows you he does have a little receiver in him.
Well, and the key block on the play by Terry Grant, that running back we were talking about from Alabama. A young guy, but knows enough and smart enough, a smart football player to step up into the hole here and take Jawan Simpson on the blitz. Now Kevin Glenn knows he's got the blitzer off the edge, which was Eric Fraser. He just has to get the ball out of there before he gets home, and he does over the top. And a touchdown throw.
Ticats money again in the score zone. Medlock the extra point, and with 7.7 seconds remaining on the clock, Hamilton has a 10-point lead.
This time, Marcus Thigpen gets off the ball with great acceleration and gets to that corner route. Because if blitz is coming, which it was, he's got to get there before the blitz gets home. And that ball thrown up over the top. Let's see that blitz pick up one more time as Grant steps up to take Juwan Simpson. There's two coming, one here and one on the outside. And Eric Fraser, that first one, the one that's closer to the quarterback, picked up. The other guy's free. He's up to Kevin Glenn. Kevin Glenn sees him coming, now just has to get it up over the top, and under duress throws a perfect ball.
So Marcus Thigpen has his first touchdown of the season.
There you go.
Guy who scored 5 different ways last year.
Baby, I love you. For my kids and my wife, I love y'all.
Well, a key turnover on the special teams.
Shout out to young Trey. Little chill, son. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ticats giving a different look at receiver this week. Bakari Grant, Aaron Kelly both out. Thigpen becoming more part of the receiving package. And he has delivered. Swift kick. Gets by Coker. And now LaMarcus Coker. He gets outside and then gets tripped up. With 2 seconds left, Henry Burris is timed for 1. We've seen the Hail Mary this year, but will we see another here or just a knee?
Well, yeah. After the last play, where on the special teams you cough up the football that turns into a major just before the half, conventional wisdom says take a knee, get in the half, regroup, and come back for some football in the second half.
Stampeders trailed Hamilton after a half of play in the first meeting back in August. And then we're shut out in the second half. A little extra maritime exuberance slowing up proceedings here in the late stages of the first half.
Yeah, Justin Hickman went over there and made sure it was stopped.
Does he get credit for a tackle or not?
I guarantee you, and we won't show it, but I guarantee you, that guy's going to think twice the next time Justin Hickman bears down on him.
Well, looks like the Stamps content to take the knee and run out this first half. Good half, especially for the Tiger Cats, who lead by 10 and have 10 points off 2 turnovers in the opening half of play.
Big time catch by Marcus Thigpen, who scored all kinds of different ways last season. This is his first touchdown reception this year. He's got one along the ground, and that is a big late touchdown for Hamilton. As turnovers have really hurt Calgary all season long. Second worst giveaway takeaway ratio in the CFL coming into this weekend. They've given up 10 points off of turnovers, and that is the difference in the ball game. Dave Randorf, Jock Climby, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz. We want to start with a story that they were talking about there in Moncton today, because I think it's significant, and we might, it's early and it's only one game, but we might be seeing a changing of the guard in the Calgary Stampeders backfield. As Joffrey Reynolds, we've said for years, guys, that he does his business quietly, but he is one of the all-time greats, 7th all-time. He's like 147 away from 6th all-time, and John Cornish has been pushing hard to take that job.
Yeah, I excited for the opportunity for John Cornish. I mean, when's the last time we had a Canadian running back who could be a significant impact in a football game? I mean, Jesse Lumsden, I think, a few years ago, perhaps, but he never got to 1,000 yards. You have to go back to Sean Millington in 2000 before you can find a Canadian running back who's done that. And I think John Cornish has that ability. And if he was being honest with himself and with everybody else, he would say, this opportunity should have come a long time ago for me. He's been averaging career 7.2 yards a carry, doing it just like this. See this bounce-out move where he does that? Joffrey Reynolds, that's not his game. Joffrey would have stuck his nose straight up there, and when you see on his runs, Cornish has the ability to go inside and pop it outside. And he has this is a Joffrey Reynolds type of run here, hard running, withstanding contact, and pushing, keeping his legs going, pushing forward. If this guy gets an opportunity, I believe, to start and play regularly. He will be a great running back, not a great Canadian, a great running back, period. That's how good he is. You remember Dwayne Ford had him ranked as the top Canadian player in the CFL, and he wasn't even a starter.
Ford's onto something.
He is.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah. So is Cornish, and so is Joffrey Reynolds. You know, and he's a consummate professional, and I know he's gonna handle this situation just like that. Jock, we saw last night in the football game how important run game is to somebody like Stephen Giles. You got a quarterback that can run. Boyd goes off, and it opens up everything offensively for the Toronto Argonauts. We see that with the Calgary Stampeders as well. The Calgary Stampeders, Henry Burris, we know he can run. He's been doing it for years. And when you go out of the shotgun, you see a situation where you're going to get pressure and you're going to try to contain him. And Stevie Baggs, who's had a decent first half and put a lot of pressure on him, he's at the top of your screen. He doesn't take to play fake to Coker here. He doesn't take it at all. He simply settles down. He's all over Burris. But what you may not see on that first time around is the fact that they bring Markeith Knowlton from the backside. Right here, you're going to see Markeith going. And when this happens, hey, put a note to yourself, offensive coordinator Dave Dickinson. You got 1, 2, 3 receivers out here. Same situation, 1st and 10 on the 45 right hash. Give them the same look. Let them bring pressure and dump it out here to Nick Lewis. I guarantee it, Dave Dickinson's smart enough where he saw that. He's found a way, and they may come back to that and take advantage of that defensive pressure that they're trying to contain and run Schultz. He's trying to get after Burris. So, to me, it's one of those things. You just file that away, use it when you need it in the second half.
Victory already for the Hamilton Ticats, guys, and the game's not over. I say that because this is a Ticat defense that previously got ripped apart by Anthony Calvillo and his receivers. And then last week, they were ripped apart by the offensive line and the running game of the Edmonton Eskimos. Now, there still are concerns. That is major league separation between the receiver and also the cover guy. Again, this pass right here, just a wee bit more accurate. That's a touchdown. The separation between the receiver and the cover guy. What was a problem still is a problem. And if these Ticats can cover a little bit better, man to man, create that separation, create those windows a little bit smaller, this defense will take another step forward. But it's already a victory. They've played a lot better.
If Milt was here, he'd be chewing you a moral victory. Because you know what? He's all about the W.
I said more of a victory. You're hearing things again.
I'm just saying.
No, I agree with you.
They got to finish this, Schultz. We've seen positive signs from Hamilton before, but it's give me 4 quarters. And then,
I agree.
Yeah, I know you do. Marcus Thigpen, Robbie Bryant, 2 touchdowns, by the way. Led the league with 15 last year. He's got 2 today. Marcus Thigpen is having a breakout game.
Yeah, you know what? I love to see these guys who are multitaskers. You know, they can do it different ways and have success. And we've been talking about this guy's speed and wanted to see him in the open field, and we were excited to see him in the open field. I love watching this guy play.
Yeah, and, you know, several weeks ago, they got rid of Marquay McDaniel, who was a big-time slot back, big-time producer for him, you know, to make way for this type of move. And they still have people in the works, in the wings, you know, in the practice roster. So this football team's loaded. And he's really shining and getting the opportunity to play receiver now. Big play capabilities paying off for the Hamilton Ticats.
The Calgary Stampeders are a perfect 5-0 on the road, but they are in a 10-point hole right now in Moncton, New Brunswick. The Hamilton Tiger Cats trying to get off a bit of a losing roll here. They got a 24-14 lead.
Welcome back to Moncton, a 10-point Ticat lead as we get set for the second half. But first, Sarah Orleski with the Calgary star of the first half.
Romy, this team's down by 10 points. Turnovers have really been the difference so far in this first half. What was said at the half?
You know, we just got to, keep possessing the ball, make plays, make the throws when we need to make them, and tackle. You know, that's simple football.
Speaking of making plays, 2 touchdowns in that first half for yourself. We haven't seen a lot of touchdowns from you so far. How's it feel to get a few more under the belt?
Oh, it feels good. You know, feel like I'm back to my old self.
Thanks so much for this.
All right, thanks.
Back to his old self, finding the end zone. John Hufnagel, I'm sure, talked a little bit about ball control and making sure you secure the football. Matt Dunnigan talked about it just at halftime there, that the turnovers and the points off those turnovers, big part of this game. I mean, Marcel Belfait got that fumble recovery from his special teams, and just like that, another major. So that's what now the difference in this game has been so far.
Well, you put this in the must category for the Ticats after losing 2 consecutive games. For the Calgary Stampeders, they are 16-3-1 under John Hufnagel after a loss. So not often do you see the Stamps in danger of losing 2 in a row. They'll have to come back in this one here in the second half. Ticats will get their hands on the football first as Rennie Paredes gets things kick-started. Here's Terry Grant again. And Terry Grant continues to show you what he's all about. And finally dropped on what looks like a horse collar tackle at the 45 by Rennie Paredes that draws a flag. But Hamilton fans are going to want to see a little bit more of number 21.
Oh, yeah.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, horse collar tackle.
That's what
Calgary,
it is.
Number 30, 15 yards to the end of the play, first down.
And it puts Hamilton Tiger Cats a first down away from getting in the red zone on the opening kickoff of the second half. But you're right, Chris. This guy has been, from that first carry where he took on a huge hit, bounced off it. A 52-yard return to start the second half after finishing it with a major off a turnover on the teams.
So 15 more, and it brings it inside the 30, a first down for the Cats at the 29-yard line. And Yvonne Coburn on that cross-buck formation, brought down by Kevin Dixon.
Take a look at the quarterback comparison after a half of football, and you see Kevin Glenn, no interceptions, and he gets that touchdown pass. Coming into this game, Kevin Glenn had not thrown a touchdown in 2 straight games. Well, that was a streak that he wanted to end. He got that behind him with the throw to Marcus Thigpen, and pretty good numbers for Henry Burris until late in the first half where he started to struggle and had the one fumble.
Second and 6. Went out of the gun. Delivered high. Matt Carter sent head over heels. And they're going to need some help for Carter after Brandon Isaac sent him cartwheeling.
Well, and the players around him waved immediately. And it's one of those dangerous ones. You worry about the neck and back. And legs out from underneath them. Flipped right around. His teammates quickly waving to the training staff.
Matt, again, one of the local college graduates here out of Acadia, the number 5 pick in 2009. And he almost made the highlight reel catch. And some obvious concern on the field, both teams taking a knee now as Matt Carter gets attention. So with this break, we'll step out and be right back to Moncton. Well, just as we welcome you back, a first good sign as some of the players clapping down there, as you can see Dave Stallo wishing his teammate well, a 4-year Atlantic University Conference All-Star. Matt Carter still getting attention after that.
And you see Brandon Isaac there too, right there watching with the Calgary Stampeders. This is, no one feels worse right now than he does, even though he was just following through on a tackle, and Carter had to go up, but hopefully he gets up here. And this,
well, some of the Ticats now jogging back to the bench, looking very relieved. And there is Matt up on his, at least sitting up. So a good sign for the Kelowna, BC native.
The two guys that feel worse than anybody is one, Brandon Isaac, and the other is Kevin Glenn, who the ball sailed on him a little bit, and Carter went up to get it. Isaac just followed through. First guy to go and pat him on the shoulder.
So they're being careful, taking their time as they should, and you can hear the fans now as it's like Matt.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Is up on his feet, and boy, that is a huge relief. And little wobbly, but being able to walk off like that looks pretty good right now, doesn't it?
That's a good sign. They'll be very careful with him. Check him out thoroughly before they let him ever get back in, but that's a great sign. See him walking off like that.
So everybody here can exhale now after a scary moment. You can always tell the potential severity of an injury by the reaction of players around the area, and they immediately got to one knee, and then they were the first to indicate that things were looking a lot better as Carter goes to the sidelines. That was the second down play, and now Justin Medlock comes on to attempt a 32-yarder, trying to extend the Ticat lead, and Medlock's been near perfect all season long. So 3 more for the Cats and a 13-point lead early third quarter. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by Rona, proud partner of the Canadian Football League and its 8 teams. And on this day, 9 cities. Moncton, New Brunswick, site of the second Scotiabank touchdown Atlantic, where the Ticats lead by 13. Calgary goes to work starting at their 35. LaMarcus Coker busting through and a move into the open field. And now a foot race. LaMarcus Coker, touchdown. Welcome to the CFL, 75 yards.
Well, he can work on his touchdown dance, but showed you great speed as he broke through the line, and we're watching a couple of young running backs sort of emerge quickly here. Marcus Coker, a couple missed at the line of scrimmage. There's the initial hole. Ray Williams has a chance at him, the middle linebacker, as he was going down, and then no one is going to catch LaMarcus Coker, and that's that great speed you talked about, Chris.
Longest run from scrimmage for the Calgary Stampeders on the season, and that cuts into the Ticat lead in a hurry.
Taylor, number 2. I'm going to hold it down for you, baby.
Was talking about Larry Taylor, who couldn't play due to injury, and one of the reasons that LaMarcus Coker got a chance to play today.
That's the longest touchdown run in the league this year. We had the longest pass play for a touchdown yesterday in Saskatchewan when Arlen Bruce went 100 yards.
Show you the key block in there, a guy who has been benched by John Huffnagel, and Tim O'Neill that's back at center, getting the down block and a nice kick out to open up the initial hole so that LaMarcus Coker could get one-on-one, but Ray Lewis is tied up. He can't, or excuse me, Ray Williams is tied up. He can't get there. And then it's all speed. The dance needs work.
Now, one of the reasons they felt they could sit Joffrey Reynolds down today, the fresh legs of LaMarcus Coker. Now Chris Williams, one of the fastest on the Ticats, brings it back to the 40-yard line. And while the offense back on the field, Matt Carter makes his way to the locker room.
Oh, yeah, he'll go get full x-rays and a full examination before even being considered to go back in a practice or on the field. But great to see him walking off, and Dave Stala, his buddy, was the guy who helped him off the field.
First down, and the fake to Coburn. Glenn looking to the sideline. There's Thigpen with it. And Keon Freeman welcomes him at the 50-yard line. That's a 4th catch of the game for Thigpen as we check in with Sarah Orleski.
As you mentioned, Chris, Matt Carter going to the locker room. I'm told by the Tiger Cat staff that he lost consciousness on the field. He was unconscious when he hit the ground, that he has a suspected concussion, and obviously his day is done as they continue to evaluate his health going forward.
Well, I think the concern when we first saw it was obviously the neck.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll take a full examination of that as well. Good to see him walking off, though.
11 for Thigpen, a first down. And it's Coburn running hard. Avon Coburn to the Calgary 50-yard line where he picks up 8.
Now, we've talked about this before, Chris, but, you know, there's nothing that pushes a starter more than the guy behind him. And when we've seen Terry Grant make some plays all of a sudden, and you know, it was the beginning of this game for Coburn. He just looks like he's got more bounce to his step. He's hitting the holes hard. And don't be surprised on the other sideline to see John Cornish, and if Joffrey Reynolds gets another opportunity, them do the same. When we saw LaMarcus Coker and what he did.
2nd and 2 with Grant to the side of Glenn to take the handoff, and this time taken down right away. Jawan Simpson is there, the middle linebacker, and the Ticats are stopped short. It'll be 3rd and at least 2.
And Jawan Simpson had a lot of ground to cover. I mean, he lines up over the outside shoulder on the line of scrimmage. There he is there, and you could see how he's on the outside shoulder, has to go opposite through the entire defensive line, scrapes over there nicely.
That's a great play by J. Michael Dean, the rookie defensive tackle as well. Went down into the corner. Talley took it inside the 10. Well placed by Medlock. Back in Moncton, New Brunswick, where Sarah Orleski has a special guest.
Chris, I'm down here with the Premier of New Brunswick, Premier David Alward. Now, I can appreciate not wanting to play favorites with the teams that are involved here, but can you explain the Riders jersey?
Well, look, I've been a Riders fan for a long, long time. I come from rural New Brunswick. There's a connection there, and when Premier Brad Wall realized that I was a Riders fan, he said, "Would you like a jersey?" And I said, "How could I say no?" So I'm wearing that today. I've got to be neutral as Premier, but I don't have to be neutral with my home team.
Premier, what does this event mean, not only to Moncton, but to the province of New Brunswick?
Oh, it's phenomenal. This is the 2nd year for the Touchdown Classic, and it's been a wonderful economic opportunity, certainly for all of us. We're demonstrating, Moncton's demonstrating to the rest of the country that we're a world-class host for entertainment, for sports, and we believe there's tremendous opportunity in the future. People like Henry Burris coming and Kevin Glenn and spending time with our young athletes as well, they're wonderful ambassadors, and so this really is a great opportunity for all of our province.
Thank you so much for this. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Oh, look, thanks for being here, and all the best.
Thank you, guys.
Well, the hospitality has been outstanding. And we thank the Premier and all the folks here in the Moncton area for their warm welcome again this year. Boy, we'd like to come back. I saw Shea Emery of the Alouettes tweeting that he wants here next year, and I've been told that if the Alouettes are in a game here, they will be the favorite whether they're the home team or not.
Yeah.
Here's a look at the fans who have taken a seat on the hillside here within the stadium. Oh, Chris Williams had some trouble there, but now picks it up. And he gets upended by Eric Fraser around midfield.
It was a great success. It was a great success, Chris, last year, and Touchdown Atlantic won. Elliot Richardson had a big game for the Edmonton Eskimos.
There was Richardson's play.
Absolutely sold out crowd.
And Rod Davis had a touchdown on an interception return last year. 24-6. Edmonton better Toronto on that day. A lot more offense here today.
Some trick plays.
6-point lead. Ticats. Here's one man on the hitch back inside. And Mann's got his first catch of the day into Calgary territory at about the Stampeder 49-yard line.
Now, they'd had to move things around a little bit by moving Maurice Mann to wide receiver. He has played there before, but primarily a slot back. But when they moved Marcus Thigpen out to receiver in the slot, then they moved Maurice Mann to wide receiver. That's his first catch. And, boy, just had that unfortunate foot injury when he cut his foot on the shower door in the locker room. It cost him 5-6 games.
Yeah, this is just his 6th game of the year. Glenn McKay was in on the last play, replacing Matt Carter. He's out. Fullback in, double tight ends on the short yardage play with flags flying.
Terry Grant, that's the second time for Hamilton that he's been in second down and 2.
Major foul, face mask. Calgary, 15 yards from the end of the play, automatic first down.
Well, that moves the ball down to the Calgary 32-yard line.
Chris, that shows you the confidence that Marcel Belfait has in young Terry Grant to key situations when you have Avon Coburn on your sideline and you go ahead and put in the newcomer. Situations there, you absolutely need to get those 2 or 3, and I'm sure the thinking is with a guy like Terry Grant, he might get a seam and just break it in short yardage.
First down, he's on. They go for the corner again. Thigpen's got it. Touchdown. Marcus Thigpen has his second of the game. In behind Greg Fassett again.
It didn't take him long to figure out that inside receiver position, did it? That's his second corner and his second touchdown, and he's going to get some help again. Kevin Glenn knows it's coming, the pressure. Now, does he get the key block he needs from a guy who's barely played in Terry Grant? Needs to pick up one guy off the edge. That's Malik Jackson. He does that. Ball's out of there, and Marcus Thigpen does the rest.
So this new look receiving corps for the Ticats, lethal so far today. Extra point from Medlock. And once again, it's a 13-point Cat lead.
Marcus Thigpen's the third receiver inside, going one-on-one on Greg Fassett, and because there's no safety in the middle, Fassett has got to take inside position. He can't let Marcus Thigpen get into that area. It's an easier throw, so he's got to let him get to the outside, take the inside position away. Thigpen's going to run away from him, and the ball is put right on the outside shoulder so he can do that from that inside position. And the reason that Kevin Glenn was even able to get that ball out of there was the pickup on the blitz from Malik Jackson, and the safety had to be up there too. He's on the top side. Demetrius Morley right here. That's why there was no safety in the middle. Kevin Glenn recognizes it again, and he's putting together a pretty good game, number 5.
In the Ticat 5 wins this year, they've scored 30 points or more.
Mariah, all y'all. I love y'all. Daddy love y'all. You too.
Marcus Thigpen, 5 catches, 136 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the day. Here's LaMarcus Coker. Terry Grant got clipped and a flag flies as Coker just gets outside the 30-yard line.
I'll see what this flag is, but I can't emphasize enough, Chris, just how important those blocks are from Terry Grant. This is a young player. This is a rookie getting his first chance to actually get out there offensively, carry the ball a little bit, but it's tempting for a back to pick up the safety that's blitzing. He sees him come all the way from the middle. It's real tempting to go over.
Illegal block. Calgary number 35, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Tim St. Pierre, but tempting for him to go over and take that safety because he sees the movement. And if he does, he leaves the shorter route to the quarterback from the linebacker. So he's made the right decision twice in a row, taking the linebacker, not the safety, and leaving the safety for Glenn. Big blocks from Terry Grant.
So the Stampeder offense has some work to do. Henry Burris 0 for 2 in the second half, 98 yards passing in the first quarter, 51 in the second quarter. Drop play Cornish, and that's not going anywhere. Markeith Knowlton, the top defensive player in the Canadian Football League a year ago, on the scene.
It's called a run blitz. And what you're doing is you're blitzing your linebackers, but they're blitzing in certain gaps. And for Knowlton, his gap was outside of Stevie Baggs. Stevie Baggs got a wide split, but he's coming inside that right tackle. And that, because he knows linebacker Markeith Knowlton's got that outside lane, and they take all the lanes away.
Second and extra, second and 12. Stamps need to dig their way out of this hole. In trouble is Burris. Bounced off contact, takes off. And Henry Burris lunging. Looks like he's very close to a first down. Great escape for Henry Burris, who entered this week #2 among CFL quarterbacks in rushing.
Well, not only does it move the chains for Calgary on a big play, but it looked like he was caught, and the Stamps were almost going to have to give up a safety on third down. That's how close he was to his goal line. See, Justin Hickman has a shot at him there. I mean, this is a guy who ranks second in the league rushing at the quarterback position behind Darian Durant coming into this week. Makes a big play for his offense.
12-yard pickup. That's the 15th carry and 10 or more for Burris on the year, and he's going to do it again. And another first down as #1 takes matters into his own hands.
Now he's feeling it. Now he's starting to get in that zone, and when he's impossible to stop, it's when he's doing a little bit of this. Play action inside, him around the edge. Same thing, here comes Cornish, play action there. Watch all of the defenders being influenced by the run fake. He got his eyes, Henry Burris has his eyes upfield, bounces it when he sees that inside pressure from Luke Mullender and gets the corner.
The corner straight ahead, and looked like he was going to burst right through. Stevie Baggs hanging on, pulls him down at the 45, but great first down production that time by Cornish, who gets 9.
Yeah, I think Stevie Baggs is picking up his game a little bit. You know, he's a guy who's now being substituted in and out of the lineup defensively. You know, that can't be sitting well with him. They're making some personnel changes. That's a guy who just does not want to come off the field at all.
Ticats sat out defensive tackle Albert Smith today. Darius Powell in the lineup for the first time, but has seen limited reps. Short yardage to Tate off the right side. He gives Calgary another set of downs.
Now that was short yardage, but we've also watched in this half Stevie Baggs being substituted in and out in certain situations. He'll come and take Luke Mullender out now. Well, last week in Hamilton, I asked Stevie Baggs, his mother Lola was in the crowd, and I asked him how much he talks to his mom, and he said all the time. I said, what's been her advice of late? He said, stop hand fighting and get upfield.
That's the correct answer. A little play fake, and Nick Lewis has a second half catch for the first time in 3 weeks, and he celebrates by running over people. Remember, he's complained, went public after last week that they didn't throw his way in the second half for 2 straight weeks.
Going to line up in the backfield here, and he often does that, then bounces out and becomes a receiver, but this time a little play action again to John Cornish. He gets out the other side of the formation, and then it's one-on-one.
Runs over Bo Smith. 16 on the play. Henry Burris goes back to number 82. And he's brought down inside the 35-yard line by Carlos Thomas.
We talk to coordinators when they're struggling, and they'll tell you that, well, we need to get a couple more reps to get into our offensive game package. Dave Dickinson's calling a good game in this series right now because of the one play that was made by Henry Burris. Second and long, he scrambled out of there, got another set of downs, and now they can get into this routine of play action. John Cornish, little Nick Lewis, and the offense can start to roll.
So the Stamps with the first down and their 8th play of this impressive looking drive. Upcoming pressure, looking downfield, Landon Talley, and incomplete. Carlos Thomas in coverage, and the ball fell short.
You know, Landon Talley looked like he didn't realize the ball might be coming to him. I mean, he's inside. He's got Rambo here, and Landon Talley is right here running the seam. And I think it looked like Kenyon Rambo was the primary target, so Landon Talley just sort of, well, if I'm the decoy, I'm going to run down the field, and then he finally tries to find it, but it's too late to come back. Might have drawn a pass interference call had he come back to the ball hard.
Stamps trying to extend the drive. 2nd and 10. Here comes the heat. And they get the quarterback led by the middle linebacker, Ray Williams. Jamal Johnson there. And the Hamilton Tiger Cat defense says enough of that.
Starts with a good speed rush from Stevie Baggs off the edge. He's in that 3-point stance. Now he's going to pull Henry Burris up. I thought Henry Burris might want to try and bounce it here, but watch how quickly 55 gets up in his face. He's up there. He can feel him now on the outside. So Burris hesitates for a second, and then Stevie Baggs' teammates Ray Williams and Jamal Johnson get there. A little help from Luke Mulliner.
3rd sack of the year for the Ticat middle linebacker. And now Rennie Paredes to attempt a 47-yarder. First field goal of his Stamp career was 50, but he misses. And away goes Thigpen. Switching gears, getting outside. Getting blocks. And into the open field. No flags. And Marcus Thigpen has his 3rd touchdown of the day. 115 yards. Marcus Thigpen putting his stamp on touchdown Atlantic.
Marcus Thigpen is like butter. He is smooth. He can accelerate, show great patience on this return, but watch just how smooth his stride is when he gets outside. Patience there to bounce it. He's got one more guy to beat. Now he's got the corner. Watch the acceleration on the cutback here and how smooth he goes across the field. And then it's a foot race with an escort from Carlos Thomas, his 3rd of the game.
What a day for Marcus Thigpen, putting a claim in on Offensive Player of the Week, or maybe Special Team Player of the Week, or maybe both.
Hey, down there, buddy.
Often on a return, Chris, you need a block. We will find the one. But tremendous patience and confidence from Marcus Thigpen.
That's my roommate. Hey, that's why you fucking play, baby. You better shout out Detroit. Put your head down. Put your head down. You know you better shout out Detroit. There were some blocks down the field. You know there's one guy that's his job for Calgary is to get to the football. And we'll see who made that key block. And it looks like to me it's going to be the middle linebacker, Ray Williams. Ray Williams coming down. He knows the return's coming his way. And it's Chevrier right at the point of attack. He gets that key block. Now it's about patience for Marcus Thigpen to get outside, and he may need one more down the field. Just great acceleration once he gets that corner. Now he turns it, cuts across the flow. And one more block here on the kicker, who is often the last guy that makes that desperation play.
And the Stamps have seen this before. It's deja vu because Marcus Thigpen did this last year against Calgary. At McMahon, he returned a missed field goal, 112 yards.
Lois Means with that last block.
That's all. Already got it. I love you, baby.
And they may have found a spot for Marcus Thigpen on offense, too.
Detroit representing the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I know y'all watching. I love y'all. We be home soon. Hey, take this hat.
Brandon Whitaker had a 3-touchdown game Friday. We've got Marcus Thigpen.
A little warmer down there.
Hat trick tonight.
Yeah.
Or today.
A little warmer down there. It looks. I think he dunked that hat in the ice bucket.
There's Coker. And he sheds a tackle. works his way out to the 28. Ticats had 44 points a few weeks back against Montreal, over 40 for the second time, and now it's a big 20-point deficit for the Calgary Stampeders that are used to staying in games. They don't win them all, but they're usually in tight till the end.
John Hufnagel, as you mentioned, Chris, has only lost 3 times after a loss. Since taking over in 2008, 16 wins. So he has always found a way to bounce back, almost always. This is a huge mountain to climb.
Calgary on 7 wins, along with Edmonton, and BC now with 6. Pressure downfield. It's intercepted. Bo Smith got the football, and that's the 3rd takeaway of the day for the Hamilton Ticats. 3rd interception for Smith in his new position on the corner.
But the first interception for this Hamilton defense in 7 3/4 of games. I mean, they didn't have one coming in 7 straight games. So this one gets them back in that turnover category. And Bo Smith, the veteran, making the play.
No takeaways at all in the last 2 games, the 2 losses. It's funny, a few weeks ago, Hamilton fans were complaining about their team being around 500. 500 to look pretty good at the end of this day for the Cats. Drop play, Coburn. A couple of great shifts there, and another first down inside the 35.
Now they moved Bo Smith, the veteran, out to that short side corner, and he shows him how that has paid off right here with Bo Smith. His man is the flat. His area is up in the short zone. Stop it there, guys, if you can. This is his area right here, but watch how he just patiently waits and then falls under the deeper Landon Talley to help his deep player in coverage. That's just a veteran play.
How you doing, Francesca? How you doing, baby? Francesca, how you doing? I love you.
Double tight end formation. Coburn again. Ducked under the first wave and down to the 31. And that's the final play of the 3rd quarter. It's a big one for the Cats at a 20-point lead. Well, 3 turnovers through 3 quarters, certainly a key statistic so far today.
Yeah, a big part of the story, but, you know, watching those 3 quarters, interesting developments here. You see Terry Grant out of Alabama. He's contributed in a couple of ways, moving Marcus Thigpen inside to the slot back position, and LaMarcus Coker, who's played and made a couple of big plays for the Calgary Stampeders. Some new faces.
So new faces or players in different places, and that's certainly been a key with Marcus Thigpen finding a home at slot back for the Hamilton Ticats.
Well, certainly Maurice Mann can play both wide receiver or slot back, so they have that luxury. They can move him outside. He can play both spots, but yeah, I agree. I think they found something here with Marcus Thigpen at the slot back position.
Well, we've got a lot of football to play yet, and we've seen some dramatic comebacks in the league, but if this score would hold, it would tighten up both the East and the West in dramatic fashion. Kevin Glenn on 2nd down. Steps up, wide open man. There's Terry Grant again. Touchdown! Well, another new face finds his way into the end zone.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Go.
The biggest offensive splurge of the season for the Hamilton Ticats.
Well, the way he was warming up, the way he was talking to Kevin Glenn, the way that he was part of the offensive first team, you just got the feeling that he may be involved in this game. And boy, has he ever. Not just in this touchdown, but blocking in the passing game. Both of Marcus Thigpen's touchdowns, he picked up key blocks.
Biggest day of the season for the Cats. 48 on the board. And those Ticats have been big today. Boy, when we left Ivor Wynn last week, there were a lot of very unhappy fans. And you just felt like this team had reached a crossroads. They've certainly responded today. There's Landon Talley on the return. Good one for Calgary. Up across the 50-yard line.
Well, the newcomer, Terry Grant's going to come right into your living room as he comes out of the backfield, and confusion for the Calgary Stampeders was not picked up. Wide open down the sideline. It was just a matter of could Kevin Glenn step up and get it to him. He was able to, and then he ran through the arm tackle of Darren Stone.
And this will prompt questions about the Calgary defense that has now given up over 30 in 5 of their last 6 starts. Got an injured Tiger Cat on that last return. Mark Beswick, who leads the Canadian Football League in special team tackles with 19, is down. Another product of the Atlantic Conference out of St. Mary's.
Let's just take a look at Terry Grant, the newcomer, and just a little bit of what he's done. I thought the very first play, and this was it, was the one that really set the tone for him, because he took a huge hit in the middle of that pile, bounced outside, picked up another 6. Vault through the air, showed his good hands. Couple big blocks, couple big runs. Played on the teams. And a touchdown. Just a great debut.
What a bounce back for Hamilton. Drew Tate is in at quarterback. So Drew Tate in relief of Henry Burris here in the 4th quarter.
And now it's back-to-back games for Henry Burris that he is not finished. Just 184 against the BC Lions in their loss at home a week ago.
So Joffrey Reynolds is on the sidelines, and now Drew Tate in for the senior man on that offense, Henry Burris. 2nd and 10. And that one knocked away as Ryan Hines, the safety, with the knockdown intended for Nick Lewis. It's a 2-and-out as Henry Burris watches on the sidelines here in the 4th quarter.
He started well. You know, I thought his first quarter, I mean, he was upwards closing in on 80% completion percentage to start the game. 9 for 12 to start the game. And then when he had that fumble deep in his own end, and I believe it was the 2nd quarter, it was started to unravel right about at that point.
2 long touchdown drives early. Chris Williams going to let that bounce into the end zone. A good decision. That's going to be a single point. And it's 48-22, a 70-yard single for the Stamps.
Well, Chris, we always hear about how friendly everybody is in the Maritimes. How's this for a story for you? On Friday, the Ticats were practicing on a field nearby. They had 2 buses there. One of their buses had a fuel line leak, and they weren't able to drive it. Some of the locals that were watching the practice offered to drive players back to the hotel. So 2 at a time, local residents who were there watching drove players back to their hotel. This is supposed to be, remember, a Hamilton home game. And they're making the Ticats feel very at home here in Moncton.
They made everybody feel at home, haven't they?
Oh, no question. Yeah, no question. Just outstanding from top to bottom. And that's going above and beyond to start shuttling the Ticats back and forth to their hotel.
You know, I'm surprised they've announced that it's less than a sellout here. Most of the stands look brimming, and there are a couple of hillsides here that are full of fans who wanted a closer look.
And that's overflow. So
Whitten Porter in here for some reps in the 4th quarter on 2nd and 5, and there's Thigpen with another catch, and he'll get stopped short by Keon Raymond. Well, everybody in Moncton has been wonderful to us, and one gentleman here has really been the driving force behind Touchdown Atlantic, and that's the city's so-called event czar, Ian Fowler. Ian is fighting a tough fight at the moment, and we know he is watching from hospital, and we want to extend our best wishes to Ian and his wife Sue, and congratulations, Ian, on another tremendous Touchdown Atlantic.
Yeah, and as Commissioner Mark Cohan mentioned in between the first and second quarters, that with the Hamilton Tiger Cat Stadium situation, there may be an opportunity to play more games here in Atlantic Canada and more games in Moncton. And you know, as we all hope that with Ottawa coming in a couple of years, that we get that 10th team right here in Atlantic Canada.
Medlock the boot, and Landon Talley lets it hit the turf. No yards will be the call, and Stampeders will have just over 11.5 minutes to go with Drew Tate now in relief. Calgary had won their last 4 meetings against Hamilton, 6 of 7, but in danger of losing 2 straight.
No yards. Hamilton number 41. 5-yard penalty. First down.
You know, he got off to a good start, Henry Burris. 9 of 12 to start, and then he started to struggle. And it's not just on Henry Burris. I mean, just off the mark in this second half. That pocket collapsing a little bit behind him. That was the play that I thought it really started to unravel.
Here's John Cornish with a big hole. And Cornish, a first down run, brought down by Jamal Johnson.
And what now does John Hufnagel do at his running back position moving forward? I mean, John Cornish has played well when given the opportunities. Good run here. Blocked well. We showed you a good block on a Romby Bryant touchdown in the first quarter. Joffrey Reynolds, if you're just joining us, a healthy scratch here this afternoon.
Over the middle, Talley separated from the football on a heavy hit as Jamal Johnson is on duty again.
Be interesting to see what John Hufnagel does moving forward and whether or not Joffrey Reynolds continues to sit. LaMarcus Coker with a big play in the running game or for a touchdown. So there are options for John Hufnagel, but that's your franchise leader all time.
Drew Tate, right side out. Romby Bryant, who's been the best weapon today for Calgary, is taken down in Hamilton territory.
You know, that's the good news for the Calgary Stampeders. Looks like Romby Bryant's back. You know, he's a guy that you just wonder what was going on. I mean, versus Hamilton in the game they played against the same team, he only had 3 catches early in the season. He's been sort of in that 2 or 3 catches a game category, which is uncharacteristic for this guy. He's a playmaker, a deep threat. A better afternoon tonight.
First down at the Hamilton 39 and back into the hands of number 9, who gets 4 on that carry.
You think about this team, though, and you look over there at their stars, and Henry Burris is one of their main star, the most important position. Henry Burris is 36 years old. Kenyon Rambo is 32 years old. I mean, the time for these stars is now or next year.
Joffrey Reynolds in the twilight of his career, another big hit on that play intended for Cornish, and Jamal Johnson has just had one heck of a series, hasn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Wow.
And we'll get back to the game here. I just, just looking and thinking about this Calgary team, but you're right. Maybe Jamal Johnson and Ray Williams, who we've seen made a couple plays, one on the teams as well, and Markeith Knowlton were kind of getting tired of the criticism.
Well, they had given up 948 yards in their last 2 games, 5 touchdowns, and you wondered. And then Calgary drives the field on 2 of their first 3 possessions today, but it's been a much different story since then. Corey Chamblin's defense has really dug in. 3rd and 6, and the offense stays on the field. Might get a free play here. They do convert. No, they don't. It's incomplete. Rambo the drop. Looks like The Ticats might have been offside on the play. We'll wait for the call from Kim Murphy's crew.
Offside. Hamilton, number 95. A 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Hickman was offside on the play, so it'll be 3rd and 1.
A couple plays ago, you mentioned Corey Chamblin and his sets. Look what he does here on his defense. It's just different, one way to confuse the blocking schemes a little bit, to stack Ray Williams and Jamal Johnson. He made that big hit on John Cornish out of that formation. And you know, that's just a different way to try and, you know, maybe hide a linebacker in there, or at least get the offensive line thinking about who they're supposed to be responsible for, because Jamal Johnson sneaks out from behind Ray Williams and John Cornish does not see him coming.
You know, we often talk about takeaways. A huge difference in this game again with 3 by Hamilton, and if they go on to win, it'll be 18 takeaways in 6 wins. 3 takeaways in 6 losses. Drew Tate takes the hitch, going deep for Forzani. Oh, almost a brilliant catch, but Lois Means recovered to bat it away. That extra bobble cost Forzani a touchdown.
It'll be Lois Means' right hand that knocks the ball out, but it's the fact that he keeps running that makes the play. I mean, here he is here, and watch, he's trying to catch up now. Forzani has him. He has a chance at it, but if he stops and kind of dives, you know how defensive backs in that situation will try and dive in desperation? He has no chance. Forzani corrals it in. He kept his feet moving and then got to that ball as it bounced around.
Newcomer in his 2nd start on the corner for the Ticats. It's 2nd and 10 from the 39. 6 receivers out, and Tate has Nick Lewis. First down catch by Lewis down inside the 25. Marcel Young in coverage.
Now this is a bit different because it's a neutral site game. But remember, this is a team that away from Calgary has been absolutely dynamite. 5-0. 5-0 this season, have not lost since back in mid-October on the road.
Another pass into the hands of Lewis, and he nearly got away. Down to the 10, it's a first down.
Now Hamilton was the home team here, and it is technically a road game. They have to pack their gear and all that, but that streak, it looks like, will come to an end.
Almost a full year since they last lost on the road. By the way, if you're wondering why we see 2 dark jerseys today, Calgary petitioned the start of the year to wear red here. They also wanted to wear black helmets. That was turned down. They haven't lost with the black helmets on the road this year. Robbie Bryant's got his 3rd touchdown of the day. Well, Thigpen has 3 for Hamilton. Bryant has 3 for Calgary.
Well, you know, there's lots of discussion with regards to the starting tailback position in Calgary over the last week, and certainly the last couple of days. And there'll be lots of discussion at the other position coming up the next week. And I know it's different at this part of games, but you know how fans can get. I mean, they're going to be calling in the call-in shows and saying, what about Drew Tate?
Well, last week there was a late 4-play 101-yard touchdown drive by Tate in garbage time against BC. They go for 2 here. And he ducked under and gets a great catch from Landon Talley for a 2-point convert tally.
Well, and you know, I've said it many times, when you're playing a different style or different intensity defensively, but that's a big play.
48-30, Hamilton.
Year. Lots of football to watch. In fact, so much football I've been watching lately, as I think I called Ray Williams Ray Lewis earlier in the game. So both great linebackers in their leagues. 10 tackles for Ray Williams last week, and
just don't call Terry Grant Terry Metcalf, even though he's wearing 21.
Okay.
Back at his 7. Here is Terry Grant. Call him a keeper. Well, they really did step out, but Terry Grant has made an impact today.
This guy is fun to watch. I mean, he doesn't go down. He just runs out of room. I mean, I don't think I've seen him today with the ball in his hands go down by the first tackler. Whether it's been with great balance and movement, but he is just, that's 2 broken tackles and didn't get tackled on this play, just ran out of room.
That might be his average today, 2 broken tackles a touch.
Wow.
Next week,
we got one now.
it'll be the Ticats in Toronto next Saturday. Williams in motion. They fake the sweep. Go back inside. And Avon Coburn up to about the 52, 53-yard line. Give him 7 more. And as you mentioned earlier today, competition brings out the best.
Oh, it does. You know what? You can talk all you want about speeches and those one-on-one meetings with coaches in their offices when they tell you, you got to pick it up. That's 15 carries, 81 yards. Good afternoon for Avon Coburn with Terry Grant all of a sudden emerging. That's all it takes. Put a good player behind you in the depth chart and watch your performance head in the right direction. If it doesn't, you're done. Simple as that.
Looking for a first down here up near midfield, and it looks like he'll be just short. Well, 22 is going to respond. He has had a solid year for the Ticats, but again, this was maybe the pivotal point in the whole season for the Hamilton Ticats. Were they going to step up and declare themselves a contender, or were they going to fall 2 games under 500 and really get into that also-ran status?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Chris. I mean, this was a big game for them, and he has kind of been their sort of emotional leader too, a vocal guy who pushes them. He's been on championship teams. He knows what it takes to not only get to the cup but win them, and so he's important in this offense, even with the play of Terry Grant here this afternoon. I mean, this is a guy that Marcel Belfait will lean on. I mean, not only on the field, but emotionally in the locker room, and he's a very vocal leader. But never hurts to have another weapon in your offense. You move Thigpen to slot back, and remember, on that Terry Grant touchdown reception, both Avon Coburn and Grant were in the backfield together.
3rd and less than a yard, the jumbo team, and Quentin Porter in, and flags fly. And from where that flag was tossed, does Calgary have too many men on the field? "13 men look like they're out there."
I think you're right.
Too many men. Calgary, 10-yard penalty, first down.
2 came on to get their regular defense, 3 went off. Boy, things will tighten up if this score stands. Think about the West Division. Think about the East Division.
Think about the BC Lions.
Yes.
An 0-5 start and a chance to play for first place next week. Draw play. Here's Terry Grant again, and this time brought down quickly as Greg Fassett steps up.
For Calgary, when I look at this team defensively, and this is not an excuse, but they've got that front 7 had gone through a lot of injury problems, and John Huffnagel's had to juggle. He hasn't had Charleston Hughes in the lineup. We haven't talked much about him. He returned today, but they've had to rotate Justin Phillips. No Devon Claybrooks in the starting defensive line. That's a huge hole to fill for Chris Jones, the defensive coordinator.
A lot of rookies for Calgary, and he's worked some magic this year. Did he hang on? Wow. Chris Williams hung on to the football when he took that jolt.
The one thing they can count on is the play of their secondary, which has been outstanding, and maybe their #1 cover man this year has been this guy, Brandon Smith. I mean, this is a good catch by Williams, but he's been real quiet this afternoon because of the coverage of Smith.
Yeah, that's just his 2nd catch of the game. A guy who has been the most dangerous weapon for Hamilton this year has been quiet in this 48-point performance. And some of the players have been cramping here. A warm, late September Sunday.
Well, they matched him up all game long, and just the second catch for Chris Williams, the outstanding rookie that's just been dynamite and a leader for this team. Look at Brandon Smith, just put a blanket on him. I mean, it doesn't matter where they lined up Chris Williams. The Calgary Stampeders put 28 out there on him. And just outstanding footwork. Even when Williams gets a little bit of a jump, you can see how quickly Brandon Smith closes that distance.
So Williams is okay. First down catch with just under 3.5 minutes to go. And the Ticats threatening again and just keeping the ball away from the Calgary Stampeders. With his 18-point lead. Kevin Glenn hands it off. Terry Grant gets to the outside. Flag flies. And as Grant is brought down. Jackson on the tackle. While we sort this out, just updating some standings if this score holds. And it does get very interesting, doesn't it?
Holding. Hamilton, number 22. 10-yard penalty remains. First down.
Well, Avon Coburn gets called.
Well, if this stands, so the BC Lions just 2 points back now of Edmonton, Calgary. After an 0-5 start, playing Edmonton to open the new renovated BC Place Stadium next weekend.
And the Rough Riders, licking their wounds after yesterday, can make it even tighter if they could win at McMahon next week. But I was thinking overall with the league, you've got one team with 8. You've got Edmonton, Calgary, Montreal Hamilton with 7 wins. And BC and Hamilton with 6 wins. So what's that? 6 teams within 2 wins of each other as we enter the final third of the year. Does it get much better than that? They've taken the 3-minute warning here in Touchdown Atlantic. Our game story brought to you by Mr. Lube.
Well, for Calgary, Rombie Bryant's back. 3 touchdowns for him. They moved Marcus Thigpen to slot back, and they have found a position for him with 3 touchdowns, 2 through the air at that position and 1 on a missed field goal. LaMarcus Coker emerges for the Calgary Stampeders, as does Terry Grant for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. A couple of newcomers making plays today.
Play action fake to Grant and into the flat. Dave Stalla. He'll get into the act now. His first catch of the game. Remember, we were wondering about the status of that hand after being shaken up in the warm-up. And it took a while for Stalla to get his first touch. And now he's a little slow to get up. But the St. Mary's product getting involved here in Touchdown Atlantic.
48 points, also a story for this Hamilton offense that were struggling over their last 2 games and made a couple of small adjustments and got things going. 48 points, 17 of them off turnovers, which has helped here this afternoon. Their field position off turnovers.
And if the Ticats can put another score on the board, it'll be the highest scoring game in the CFL this year. Off the left side, that's an easy score. Touchdown, Terry Grant. Three for Thigpen, 2 for Grant. And the Ticats over 50 for the first time in 12 years.
He hit it. He just hit it. No jucking and jiving, just hit the hole. And if there's someone there to tack you, fine. If not, keep going.
Closest guy to him was Big Skin Pete.
Wow.
Down again, baby.
Alabama. I hear you.
Well, which team is the real Ticats?
Get that there.
They did this to Montreal a few weeks ago.
I ain't going on kickoff.
Then they looked awful for back-to-back weeks. declaring themselves contenders again.
Both just went straight. If they would have thrown.
55 for Hamilton. In the first touchdown Atlantic last year, we saw 2 teams combined for 30 points. It's been a much different return to Atlantic Canada.
I talked earlier about the Calgary front seven and how they've gone through some injuries. They've been hurting up front. But some good blocking there up front because Terry Grant did not get hit at all. I mean, he didn't see anybody. Malik Jackson picked up with one arm by Peter Diakowski. Just his right arm on a punch stopped Malik Jackson from getting there. But watch some of these blocks up front. Big 67, a little punch there on Malik Jackson right under the chin. Terry Grant untouched to the end zone.
Get back to the drawing board for
yes, sir.
Chris Jones, who has weaved some magic with so many young players, but it's unraveled now for back-to-back weeks. Talley on the return. And Landon Talley still going. Good return, but a fumble in the first half by Landon Talley dug a bit of a hole for those Calgary Stampeders.
And just like that, Kevin Glenn is back on track offensively. And you could see the numbers. 55 points scored in the last 2 games, 36 combined. And how about that one there? Punching it in, red zone efficiency again. I think they're 100% again here this afternoon. I don't have that official, but
10 points more than.
What's up, everybody back home in Detroit? Asha Caleb, back in Hamilton, watching the game. Shout out to the O-line. Shout out to the O-line. Did a great job. Everybody on offense did a great job.
Who says you can't take a prompt?
Coming back home.
10 points more than the season high for any team in the league, and 11 points higher than Hamilton's previous best for the season. This has been impressive. And it's got to be a cause for concern back in Calgary. The team that I think 3 weeks ago or going into Labor Day looked like they might just walk away with the West, but they split with Edmonton, lose to BC, and end up losing here, and John Hufnagel's crew's got some work to do. Second and short, play action fake, and that pass falls incomplete, intended for Bryant.
You know, there's been a lot of the starting quarterbacks this year that, you know, Kevin Glenn's gone through it. Henry Burris has gone through it. Ricky Ray has gone through it, where they've had some ups and downs in the season. And I mentioned early on about does this create the controversy for Calgary and for John Hufnagel, but, you know, it really shouldn't. I mean, these are the starting guys. At this point in the season, it's almost impossible to abandon that unless you get an injury. However, would John Hufnagel in the upcoming weeks make a change quicker? Is he now in the mode of looking at Drew Tate for a series or 2 and going back to Henry Burris? You know, are we there yet? If you're a Calgary fan.
The other question might be, did the impact of sitting Joffrey Reynolds, such a respected teammate on this team, did it backfire?
It's a great question.
Calgary Stampeders today.
It's a great question.
Nothing wrong with the way John Cornish played, but you wonder about the psyche of a team when a controversial player decision is made.
Well, LaMarcus Coker played. He had his great play and 80 yards rushing for John Cornish. I mean, they did their thing. But you're right.
Reset the clock to read 141. 141 on the clock, please.
You're talking about the psychology of sports, and you know, are all of a sudden veterans looking over their shoulder? I mean, those will be the questions.
Well, what we've seen from John Hufnagel as head coach in Calgary is he's a man that comes up with answers.
Yeah, you're right.
There's Cornish. First down run, pass and run play. So this will be the final game of the second third of the season. The last 6 weeks are really going to be interesting in this league.
Oh, and it's a log jam, and who knows where the playoff games will be played.
Tate looks for Lewis, and he's got it inside the 20.
And 3 great weekends in a row, too. When you think back to Hall of Fame weekend last weekend, we've got the touchdown Atlanta game, and just another, again, can't emphasize enough and thank enough the people of this part of the country and Moncton and just the reception that everyone gets from the CFL family when they get here. And hopefully this continues on forever until we see a team in this part of the country. And then next weekend, we open BC Place Stadium.
Can't wait for that. Cornish again. And Jamal Johnson hanging on to him as we get inside the final minute.
Not to mention, I am going to go out and find me the biggest lobster.
You did arrive late last night.
I got in late last night.
You missed it.
And I didn't get the lobster omelet. I didn't get the lobster. I'm going to look for one bigger than the one on that guy's hat. I need a big, okay.
You'll find it. There's Drew Tate looking for the corner for Kenyon Rambo, and that's a touchdown for Calgary. Drew Tate hooks up with Kenyon Rambo for his 4th major of the season.
Just to throw a little bit more gas on this week's questions at the quarterback position for John Hufnagel. Again, against a very different level of intensity defensively, but a nice throw and catch. You know, and with the Hamilton win, you know, they still have areas that they can improve on, and one is in their secondary, and I believe that was Carlos Thomas again on Kenyon Rambo.
Going for 2 again, looking for Forzani, and he can't make the catch up against Lois Means. 91 points here today in the 2nd touchdown Atlantic. A year ago, the final score was 24-6.
Well, that's one word for this season: unpredictable. And how do you pick winners and losers week to week if you're in those pools? Because, man, it has been difficult. The Hamilton Tiger Cats coming in had lost 2 in a row. One where they just did not look good at home to Edmonton and put 55 on the board against the Calgary Stampeders. Last night, big win for the Toronto Argonauts down to the wire in that game. And how many people across the country picked Toronto to beat Winnipeg?
And those Argos say they're not out of it and are determined to play spoiler. And next up will be Hamilton. And those two teams always make things interesting, regardless of the standing. But here will be the standings in the East now. The Ticats moving within 2 of Montreal and 4 back of the Bombers.
And of course, all the talk in Montreal this week will be on the health of Anthony Calvillo and that the hit he took in Edmonton.
Short kick by Paradise, brought down by Maurice Mann. And the Ticats will have the football and will run the clock out here with just over a half minute to go.
You know, I don't mean to pick on Nick Lewis here again, but you talked about the psychology of the game and the decision that hit their head coach.
Calgary number 31. The penalty is declined. First down, Hamilton.
And the psychology of the head coach when he makes Joffrey Reynolds a healthy scratch. And, you know, when Nick Lewis at the beginning of last week, yes, the team didn't play well against BC, but he decides he's going to talk about not getting the ball enough. You know, those are all small things that can add up, and all of a sudden that team doesn't feel quite as together. We'll see how they respond.
Jason Boltus in, and the victory offense set for the Ticats. John Hufnagel has a week to review and get set for another team licking its wounds. The Saskatchewan Roughriders will be at McMahon. Big crowd expected there, as always when the Roughriders go to Calgary. One more knee for Boltus, and this one's in the books. Smiles on the sidelines, the biggest offensive splurge of the season for the Kahari Jones-led offense.
Well, the reasons that was a great game for Kahari Jones was his balance. Avon Coburn involved at the very beginning of this game, and then they bring in Terry Grant, get the passing game going, move their quarterback around. Great game called by Kahari Jones.
And this one in the books, the highest scoring game in the Canadian Football League this year. The Hamilton Tiger Cats get back to 500 with an emphatic victory. 3 touchdowns for Marcus Thigpen, a couple for Terry Grant, as the Ticats post a 55-36 win, and the Stampeders fall to 7-5.